Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are jumping into one of the most famous and beloved love stories ever written, Jane Austen's absolute classic, Pride and Prejudice. Everything kicks off with this legendary opening line. And it's so much more than just a witty comment. It's basically the rulebook for the entire story. It perfectly sets the stage for a world obsessed with marriage, money, and social climbing in 19th century England. All right, so let's meet our central family. We're in the Bennet household, where Mrs. Bennet has, and I mean this, one single, all-consuming mission in life, to marry off her 5 daughters. You've got Jane, who's sweet and beautiful, Elizabeth, our incredibly clever hero, and then the 3 younger ones, Mary, Kitty, and Lydia. So you might be asking, why is Mrs. Bennet so, frantic? Here's the deal. Their entire family home and estate is caught in this legal trap called an entail. Basically, it can only be passed down to a man. Since they have no sons, the house is legally promised to a kind of ridiculous distant cousin, a Mr. Collins. So good marriage for one of the girls, it's not just a nice to have, it is their only hope for economic survival. And just like that, right on cue, 2 super rich single guys move into the neighborhood. This sends the whole town, and especially Mrs. Bennet, into a total whirlwind. First up, you've got the genuinely nice and charming Mr. Bingley, and then there's his friend, Mr. Darcy, who is even richer, but also incredibly proud and, let's be honest, pretty arrogant. Okay, so this is where it all really begins. The novel's main conflict is about to be born, right here. We've got 2 very strong personalities on a collision course, and believe me, sparks are about to fly. At a local dance, we finally meet our main couple. In one corner, you have Elizabeth Bennet. She's whip-smart, funny, and fiercely independent. And in the other corner, you have Fitzwilliam Darcy, unbelievably wealthy, kind of reserved, and, he comes off as a real snob. Their first meeting? Oh, it is an absolute train wreck. Darcy lets his pride get the better of him and says this out loud about Elizabeth while she is standing close enough to hear every single word. Ouch. Her own pride is, of course, deeply wounded, and that instantly cements a powerful prejudice against him. And Elizabeth's terrible first impression of Darcy only gets worse with the arrival of a handsome soldier named George Wickham. He is charming, he's charismatic, and he tells Elizabeth this sob story about how the cruel Mr. Darcy stole his inheritance. For Elizabeth, this just confirms everything she already suspected. Darcy is obviously the villain of the story, right? And now, we've arrived at the biggest turning point in the whole novel. This is the moment where literally everything Elizabeth thinks she knows about Darcy and Wickham is about to get flipped completely upside down. Seemingly out of nowhere, Darcy tracks Elizabeth down, confesses his love for her, and proposes marriage. But he does it in the worst way imaginable. It's so arrogant. He insults her family, her social standing, and even admits that he's the one who broke up her sister Jane and his friend Bingley. So, of course, a furious Elizabeth shuts him down, hard. The very next morning, Darcy finds her again, but this time he just hands her a letter. This isn't another apology or proposal. It's a point-by-point explanation of his actions, and reading it forces Elizabeth to finally, truly confront her own powerful prejudice. And wow, the truth is a shocker. The letter reveals that Wickham is the real bad guy, a compulsive liar who burned through his inheritance and then tried to run away with Darcy's teenage sister just to get his hands on her money. In that one moment, Elizabeth realizes she's been completely and utterly blind. So, just as Elizabeth's entire view of Darcy starts to shift, bam! A huge family scandal hits, and it's one that threatens to destroy the Bennet family's reputation for good. This crisis is what shows us just how much Darcy has changed. Lydia, the youngest Bennet, runs off with none other than the scoundrel Wickham. When Darcy hears about it, he secretly goes and finds them. He then pays off all of Wickham's enormous debts from his own pocket and forces him to marry Lydia. He saves the family of the woman he loves, and he does it all without wanting anyone to ever know. All right, so with the big scandal handled and all the lies out in the open, the end of the novel really digs into what it takes to build a real, successful partnership. It's about more than just a wedding. So Austen gives us 3 really different marriages to look at. Lydia's marriage to Wickham, that's all about scandal and financial desperation. Jane's marriage to Bingley, that's built on pure, genuine affection. But Elizabeth and Darcy's relationship, that's founded on something else entirely. Deep, mutual respect that they only found after they both grew as people. When you boil it all down, Darcy's pride was the first huge wall between them. His snobbery and belief that he was socially superior totally blinded him to how amazing Elizabeth was, and it almost cost him his happiness. And on the flip side, Elizabeth's prejudice, which, let's face it, was born from her own wounded pride, was the wall she had to break down. Her habit of trusting her first impressions as the absolute truth kept her from seeing Darcy's real character for almost the entire book. But this book is so much more than just a great love story. Austen is giving us a really sharp, funny critique of her world. She's taking aim at the idea of marrying for money, the silly rules of social class, and she's really fighting for the idea that intelligence and a good heart are way more important than how much money you have. So the big question is, why do we still care so much about this 200-year-old story? I think it's because the central themes, learning to overcome our own biases, looking past a bad first impression, and that struggle to find someone who sees you as an equal, those things are just as real today as they were back then. They're timeless. And that's our deep dive into Pride and Prejudice. It leaves us with one last thing to think about. In our own world of social media, snap judgments, and all sorts of divisions, how much do our own pride and our own prejudices still run our lives today?